Hi, it's Everett, Everett's Watercolors. Welcome to my studio. Today, another watercolor demonstration, and I really like this one. I think you will too. It's another waterway scene, but I got a couple of boats, a couple sailboats I want to paint today, and it's a different kind of study. And I got a couple of little interesting techniques to show you today on watercolors. So let's go to my overhead camera and let me get started. Okay, well here's my reference photograph. This is something I did a couple days ago. I took a photograph of these sailboats. There's a fishing boat here, and this is a big old two-masted sailing boat over here. So I thought that'd be interesting. And background and so forth. Just going to erase all that. Don't worry about this too much detail. Just going to get into the boats in the water. So what I did when I went on locations to do that photograph, I also did a quick pencil sketch what a good composition I wanted to try. Now, I'm going to break the rules here a little bit. I got this boat facing out to the right, left. And I got this boat facing out to the right. They look like they're going out soft painting, but that's not necessarily how you want to paint it. I'm going to paint it this way. That's my configuration that I'm going to use. But I'm going to also emphasize which boat's more important than the other. I think this will be my priority boat here. This will be a secondary over here. Primary on the fishing boat, secondary on the sailing boat over here. So that'll make the painting a lot more understandable. All right, so I'll put that away. Now a couple of things I did. I transferred that sketch to a quarter sheet of Gemini 140-pound watercolor paper, 140-pound cold press, archival, and I drew the sketch out here on the paper. But then I went ahead with some masking tape, plain old masking tape. You can buy that at any hardware store. But then I went ahead and I cut up some pieces off that masking tape, put it on my cutting board, and I took those pieces. I want to protect the mask over here with the masking tape, and also a couple little pieces over here on the small boat. So this small boat, I got a couple pieces, and that'll keep that there until I'm ready to paint that in. So those were the key things of the boats. Everything else is just background and not really. As emphasis as the sailboat parts of the sailboat. So I'm going to get started here. I got some stuff for here. My supplies. I got my regular palette with Holbein's Artist Watercolor paint, and I've got my silver brush Hake. I'm going to use all three of them today: the large, medium, and small. And then I've got a couple flat brushes here, 3/4 inch and 1/2 inch flat from Holbein. And I'm going to use these round brushes. This is a Skoda. That's a number 12 and a number 8 rounds. And I got a small number 4 round brush. I'll do that for some details. So I may or may not use it, but I got it here just for protection, or just to have enough material to work with what I have. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start up here with the sky. So I'm going to, let's see, I get my brushes a little bit off to the side here, get them out of the way. And so the sky, I'm going to wet the sky with the large Hake. This is a large Hake, and I got the medium-sized Hake I'm going to put the paint in. So I think all I'll do is get some paint over here. And sky will be very simple, a little bit of, it was overcast that day, and I'm going to have maybe a little blue showing. Pick up a little bit of Payne's gray, kind of calm it down a little bit. So it's going to be a kind of a bluish gray sky. Okay, so that's my sky color, and I'll get just plain water in the brush. This is a large Hake, and I'm going to wet the sky. I just quite often I'll wet the sky first. It helps the paint flow. I just want to get a nice background wash. Now I'm gonna be careful as I go over these masking fluid. And you can see here I got the masking fluid on there. Excuse me. I got masking tape, plain old hardware masking tape. And okay, so I got the paper wet. You can see the gloss on the paper. The paper's wet. So I do a little wet on wet here with the first technique. So I got my brush here loaded up here with this blue and the gray mix here for the sky. And I'm going to come across here I'm going to pick up a little more blue. So there'll be some blue showing in there in the sky. But it was an overcast day. It was a gray sky, but I'm going to put just a little bit of blue. I like blue, number one. But it'll give me a little bit of taste of the sky and also down in the water will be the same. The reflection in the water will also have a little bit of that sky blue. Bring that down over the top of the treetops. Okay, all right. And I think before I leave that, I'll pick up a little more of that gray, Payne's gray. And I'll make this a little bit darker over here on this side. One side of this, a little bit darker there, and at the top. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to dry this now. So I'm going to be a blow dryer. And okay, so my first step here was to paint the sky with my large and medium-sized Hake. Wet the sky with water first, and then added a little bit of blue, ultramarine blue, a little bit of Payne's gray. Gives me a gray overcast sky. I think that'll work. Now wiping off the edges so we don't get any back runs on the paper. And this is my Ranger dryer. This is a beautiful craft. It's a craft tool. My wife Gloria introduced me to this, and I think it's a nice quiet one I can talk over as I'm drying. And so I want to get down and make sure the edge here next to the trees, I'm going to put some trees in here next, around behind these boats. Make sure it's dry along there. And it's pretty dry. Okay. There. So it doesn't take too long. Okay. All right. So we got the sky in there pretty well. It's a nice blue gray sky. And so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up. Let's see. Take my flat brush. This is a 3/4 inch brush, and I'm going to mix up a little bit of green now for the trees. I got a tree line behind the boat, so I'm going to put a little bit of green here. This is Hooker's green over here on the right hand side of my palette. So I'm going to have quite a large area here of trees be in the background. We'll have 1/3 of the painting is behind background is the trees. So I'm getting this second. So the first third was the sky, second third is the trees and the water at the bottom. So, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of blue, a little bit of ultramarine blue. I want that to be a little bit darker green. Now watercolor, it dries a lot lighter, so you got to go a little bit darker. Got to go a little bit darker in the value. Okay, all right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to I'll put aside this brush here, make sure it's clean, and then I'm going to pick up this middle-sized Hake. I'm going to go ahead and put some trees in now behind the boats. So I'm going to hold this here, and I use the edge of the brush, corner of the brush, just like any flat brush, the same painting techniques. With a Hake, it's just a larger brush. There's a lot of good washes. You can see here the sky, how easy it was to put that in. Now as I come down, I want to vary the edge of the tree line. Using the edge of the brush to give me that nice rough texture of the trees. Using a corner of the brush, the side of the brush, end of the brush, twisting the brush around, getting different angles, and a little brush stroke, a little movement up and down. Working on the edges here to get these trees to look a little bit different in each area. I don't want to have anything looking the same. I want something a little bit different, a little variety. Always have variety in your paintings, whether it's the colors, values, or brush strokes. Just a little variety of everything. Okay, I'm going to bring that on down now behind these boats. Paint over top of that masking tape. You can see why now I wanted to mask those in, because that's the most important part of the boat is the sails and the masks. And they define the shape real well. Coming down here to the edge. Around a smaller fishing boat. Now you can see how important is putting this masking tape down. It protects the edges of what I want to show until I'm ready to paint it. Okay, now I'll take my 3/4 inch brush now and put a little more detail here. Come closer to the edges. I'm working on my drawing here. Drew in the outline, so I've got the outline of the vessel. Come on down here, that's far enough for background trees. And a little bit over here on this side. Now, I left a lot of detail of the landscape because it's this is the most important part of this painting is the shape and the size and the values of these boats. That's the message today. Coming on down. I'll get around this little vessel here, the sailboat. Leave that alone. Okay. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of extra paint here and just kind of go in here and put in some texture back here by just putting a few brush strokes on top of what I've already done. Get that variety. So the extra brush strokes here gives me that variety of edges. These are trees in the background, so you want a little bit of texture back there. You don't want it. I don't want it smooth. I want to have a little rough texture showing trees. So a little bit of brush strokes back there. It gives me that look. Okay. All right. And I think what I can do now, I can work on the water. Let's see. I'll go back to my Hake brush. So I'm going to use a little more blue now, a little more blue-gray because of the overcast sky. Mixing a little bit of green. Okay, now I'm going to use a smaller brush. This is my small Hake, and I'm going to use that to paint the water. And I'm going to put that I'm going to use a broken stroke here so I have some roughness here of the water. So like a dry brush, I'm dragging it on the side. Give it the sparkle of that water down there, just a little bit of roughness. Okay, I'll pick up a little bit of this. That boat there reflection. Pick up a little, using a tissue just to pick up a little excess of the moisture. I'll let that dry lighter, and I'll go back in with a little more brush strokes to give it a little more definition in the water. But right now it's just to get me a. So I got blocked in now. I've blocked in basically the three areas: the sky, the tree, and the water are all blocked in. Okay. And the things left here, we'll do now the details on the boats, and then we'll get into the water for detail down here. We'll leave the trees pretty much alone at this time. At this point, it might be a little bit of touch up. Okay, so I'm going to dry this now. It's still wet back here. So let me go ahead and dry the tree line. So what I've done in this stage here, right at this stage, I've put in the tree line with the darker green, which was hooker's green mixed in with ultramarine blue, and a little touch of Payne's gray. Give me a dull green, dull dark green, which is what I wanted in the background. And I went back with some brush strokes to give me that rough texture look. And I'm like, oh, it's still damp. My Paddle in the Bottle dot sprayer sold exclusively on Everett Watercolors. I'm going to put in some drops here just to give it a little more texture. Alright, that gives it, those drops gives me a little more texture in the trees. Give me a background look there. Okay. Let that dry on its own right now. Okay. All right. Now so I'm going to take a smaller brush now, and I'm going to go back here behind the boats. Going to mix up a little bit of light green. There's the grass on the ground, so I'm going to put a little bit of grass back there. So this is green number 1, light green. mixed in with that hooker's green and a little bit of blue in there, so it'll be a mixture. Get that green number 1. So what I'm doing now is I'm painting the grass down there behind the boats. It's a little bit lighter green behind the boats here. That light green for the grass. All right, so I got the and a couple mooring posts here. Where the boats tie up. So this is the green grass behind along the edge of the waterway. Use a small number 8 Escato round brush. Escoda. Okay. Then I'll go along over here and get this side behind the boat, behind the fishing boat. I got some of those posts there. This is the 1/2-inch flat brush from Holbein. This is synthetic brush, but it does a great job. And all these brushes are available on my website, everettwatercolors.com. On my supply page. This one comes down here, and I've got and there'll be a little gap over here next to the stern of this boat. There's a little more grass behind that, right next to the dock. So that makes that a nice little detail. And then I got more grass down here, so continuation of the grass. Shows the horizon line. Right at the base of the grass is a horizon line. These boats are tied up here on the edge of the waterway. Yeah, okay. So there's the grass in behind those boats. All right, I'm going to dry that now. Let's see, I think I can let that alone for a few, let's see. Okay. I think I'll just hit the dryer just a little bit. Okay, so then back here behind, I'm going to go back now and fill in the tree line behind. Now I'm filling the edge here. I'm cutting the edge of the tree line in with the back of the grass, and defining the tops of these posts. Got one more area down here at the end. Not a very important spot, but just to complete it off. Into the painting here. Okay. All right, let me dry it out a little bit. Yeah, to keep things dry, especially around the edges. Okay. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to work on the. This is my key boat here, the fishing boat. So I'm going to start here with. I'm going to put a little bit of along the edge of the trim of the. I'm going to use burnt sienna here. Burnt sienna on the trim. So this one here there's a trim on the top. On the edge of the windows here. And the windows have a little edge on them. There. And then the doorway, there's a doorway here. Hatch. Okay. All right. Let's see. Trim on this one over here. I'm going to use quinacridone violet. So take a little bit of this paint off the palette here. So I'm going to use a little bit of quinacridone violet here. It's a pretty color. Before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a coat. Let's see. Use a little bit of yellow ochre. I'll put a little bit of yellow ochre on this one. So this is the stern of the boat back here, stern. It's got like a rounded body to it. Into the water. Okay. And then it's going to the main boat hull is make that yellow ochre. I'm not going to follow the colors of the photograph. I'm using colors that I like to use here, but it's a light color. It's not white. The boat here is going to be, the fishing boat's white. This one's got kind of a dull orange, dull yellow, or I'm using yellow ochre here. My darkest yellow. Okay. And I'm going to also put in some detail there. Put a little bit of yellow ochre, put a little bit of lemon yellow in with that and lighten that up a little bit more. And top of this is the cabin, which is also a light color. And there's a little dinghy hanging on the back of this sailboat, a little dinghy, which is what they use to get back and forth when they're anchoring out in the harbor. They have a way to get back and forth to the boat. So they have this little dinghy, and it's got a little cover on it. Okay, and I think I can put a little bit, there's a rooftop on this, part of the cabin. It's kind of like a lookout section here. Okay, let that dry. And let's see. Okay, now on the fishing boat, I'm gonna have a little bit of gray here. Mix this Payne's gray, not too dark, kind of middle value. And I'm going to use the number 4 round. Actually, it's number 2 round. It's really small. Number 2 round, loaded with gray. I'm going to put the trim on this boat here. This trim on the bow. So this is all detail work, just to get now this boat's all white, so I'm just going to put the trim along the edge here, and the rest of the color is white from the paper. And there's a little strip down here at the kind of a design of the hull here, like a rib along the side. Not a rib, but it's just a bump on the surface, the way it was designed. And there's also a little edge down here at the bottom. There. Okay. All right. Okay, I think we're ready to take the masking fluid off. So I'm going to use here. I use my X-Acto knife. Now, what I used the X-Acto knife to cut the masking, the tape, and now I'm going to use that to take this off. So I'm going to start over here with the fishing boat. Just pick it up underneath very carefully. We don't want to damage the paper. This is a little top to That's a lookout. It's like a little lookout, little observation. A fishing boat there, observation tower on top of the cabin. And a little boom back here for the radar. Okay, now I'm going to take off this mask here. We'll start with the sail. This has a sail on the sail bag. Very carefully picking it off. You can see there I'll keep the weight of the paper. And then this one here will come off. Boy, you see it's a nice white sail. That's why you can see why I put the masking tape on there. Keeps that paper nice and white. Because that's the most important part of the structure here on the sailboat, and also on the other boat is the masks. So when you're doing a boat like this, sailboat, whatever, you want to make sure you get the shapes and the sizes and so forth of those. But now you can see why I put that masking tape on there. Okay, now so the cleanup is going to be very simple. I think I'll let me dry now. Make sure I got everything dry, because I'm going to go and do a little more detail work. Not much. Let's try. Let's see where over here. Okay, that's all dry. Okay, so I think I'll start with the fishing boat. So this little top one here, I'm going to use the yellow ochre. So it's like a little cover on top of this observation. That's enough of that. And over here, go pretty well about that. So now I'm using a Skoda number 8 round, and I'm going to put some dark windows here because they're in shadow. The doorway has a window, hatch, and 2 windows in the front. Portholes, not portholes, these are actually windows. But all the nautical terminology, windows are portholes. Okay. And there's a back window. There's a cabin, lower cabin here that's got another window right here. Maybe it's the galley or whatever it is. Maybe it's near the engine room. Yeah, all these vessels have motors on them. And they have sails, but they also, this one here has driven by motors. All right, that's pretty good. And I'm not going to do much more touch-up on the boat. I mean, it's white. And I'll go back and make a few more touches now. I'm going to work on the big one now. And so I'm going to use this Quinacridone Violet, because it's got a purple sail to it. So I'm going to use a pure violet coming out of here. Maybe a little bit. Maybe put a little bit of blue in that, darken it up. Okay, so now lay the brush down and put it right on that line and bring it down. That's the flag. That's the mask. It's the two-mast sailboat. So this is the rear mast or aft. And put a little top on that, just a little top square. Okay. And then the big one. Load up the brush from the side and lay it flat. The stroke is a flat stroke, right down, and bring it right straight down. That's where all the paint is. The paint's on the side of the brush, not on the end. Bring it right on down. Pick up some more. So the proper way to paint with a round brush is use the side of the brush on your brush stroke. Don't use the tip. Use the tip only when you're going to do detail. You know, you get down and you want to do edges and stuff like that. But the proper way is to use the side of the brush. This will come right on down here to the base here. And then they have covers. The sails have covers, so this is also the same color here. The dark purple, maroon. That's the after sail. And the main sail is up here. These are storage bags they have for the sails. While they're in port. Okay. Then there's a jib. There's also this area here. I don't get to even get the smaller brush. This is a number four round. Yeah, number two round. It's even smaller. A little bit of blue in there. Load it the same way on the side. And you lay that brush down flat. Bring it down. And drag it right down that line. I'm using the tip of the brush to fill in that white paper. Now get the top squared up. Top of the bowl. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to take a little bit of purple again. And this area here is like a little, again, another observation tower. I'll go in, I'll fill in. Let me dry that. Okay. Always dry it before we get next. I'm going to go next to that. I'm going to pick up some more paint. Okay. So we'll pick up little Payne's Gray for the windows. This Mast has a window on the side. I'll put that in first. There's a window here on the side of the cabin. And two small windows down here in the middle of the cabin. A little bit lighter gray. There's a railing out here. I'm going to fill in some of this background green in here just to close this out right here. Okay, and I got some of these poles, these on the edge. I'll put those in. These are poles they use to tie the boats up with. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to just finish off a little bit around the water. So we'll take a little bit of this gray mix, Payne's gray, and we'll go along the edge of the water here. This is the edge of the waterway next where the water hits the ground. Okay. Blow up the brush a little bit with a bit of black. I'll go along with a shadow at the bottom edge of the boat, where it's just into the water. There's one over here. Now this part here now on the end is a little bit in shadow, so this got to be a little bit darker. So this to put it in perspective, the stern here has got a shadow on it because I took the picture at an angle. So this part would be in shadow. That section there. And one more stripe I want to put on using that purple. The purple stripe across the side of this sailboat. I'll leave that alone. It's got to dry there. Okay. Okay. Really, the only thing I want to do here at the bottom is just maybe take one swipe here in the water. So I'm going to take a little bit of this Payne's Gray, load up the brush, a little bit of blue in it. And there's a little bit of reflection here on this white boat. I'll turn this around so I get the right angle. A little bit of reflection of the white boat into the water. Okay, and let's see, let me do a quick dry because I want to put one more reflection in there. Okay, one more reflection, and it's these posts. These posts are reflecting into the water. A reflection of this doorway. The windows. There isn't much reflection over here. There's a little bit, maybe just a hint. Okay, well that completes my picture, my painting of the two boats, the fishing boat and the sailing boat. So let's go back to my, I'll put a mat around it. Let's see what it looks like. We'll put a mat around it. There we go. Okay, so there's my painting of the two boats on the waterway. Fishing boat, sailing boat. Okay, go back to my main camera. Hi. Gotta switch it over there. Okay, well that completes today's demonstration of watercolor. Painting those sailboats on the waterway. I really enjoyed that. So until next time, you give me a thumbs up and a like if you like this video. And I'll be back again next week on Thursday with another watercolor demonstration. And then later on today I'm going to do another drawing exercise with simply drawing with Everett. And then on the weekends on Sunday I put out a little short video called Anyone Can Draw with One Line Only. So I hope you can enjoy those. So until next week, you all stay safe and take care. Bye.